Okay, and now I'm going to take my tortillon, and I'm going to hold my tortillon at an angle. I'm not holding it on the tip, right? Holding it at an angle, using the side of that tortillon to smooth out my shading. Kind of using a rounded line. We've got a round object. Okay. And now I'm going to switch to my 6B. I'm going to go ahead and shade in my pupil. Really dark and solid. I'm going to add a little bit of darkness to the edge of my iris. That's one of the darker parts of the eye, is the edge of that iris. And then I'm going to start adding some radiating lines from the iris, because if you look really closely at your eye in the mirror, you're going to see these radiating lines that come from it, and they all come from the center point. So make sure you're radiating like a bicycle tire. Okay, and they also kind of reach all the way across. Okay, and then I'm going to take my tortillon again. Work on blending some of those lines. So when we're drawing the face from really far away, we would never see any of these details, but it's just good information to know and to understand about the parts of the eye. Okay, I'm going to go back to my 6B and darken up a few of those radiating lines to have some variety in my values. And then I'm also going to take my kneaded eraser and pinch it to a point, and then I'm going to use that to stamp out a little bit the bottom of that iris. The light would be shining down here on our face, and that's going to help it look a little more realistic and give it some more value. Okay. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my tortillon and start shading in my tear duct, looking for highlights and shadows. So where there's a shadow, I'm going to press a little bit harder. Where it's more light, I'm going to press down lighter. The white of the eye is not going to be pure white, so I'm going to press down lighter to shade in it with rounded lines. The eye is a ball, and so we want to use rounded lines to show that round object. As I get closer to the iris, I want to stop shading so much, and then I'm going to come over here to the other side, do the same thing, rounded lines. Okay, now it should start to really look like an eye, and I'm going to go back and stamp out just a little bit. I want the white of the eye to be more white next to the iris, and fade as it gets closer, and then be darker as it gets closer to the tear duct. Okay, and then I'm going to go back to my 6B, and I'm going to put a nice dark outline around the top of the eye opening. This represents the eyelashes, the thickness of the eyelashes from as seen from straight on. Okay, and this is on boys and girls. And it's going to go past the eye opening just a little bit. Then I'm going to use my tortillon to smooth that out. And I'm going to use my 2B to put in the skin. Start putting in some of the skin shadows. I also want to put in that line that represents the shelf of the lower eyelid. So there's a little sliver of skin outside of your eye opening on the bottom eye. Just go back and redrawing in the bottom of the eye. All right, so there's a little sliver of skin. This is called the shelf of the lower eyelid. It is from this line outside of the eye that our bottom eyelashes come from. And we're gonna put in eyelashes last. We're gonna put in our eye crease. This guy has really big eye creases that we're drawing. And the middle of the eye sticks out the furthest, so this part of our ball is going to be the lightest, which means it's going to be dark on the sides, see where our skin sinks in. It's going to be a little shadow next to the eye crease. So I'm just kind of doing some scribble shading right now with my 2B. And all of the underneath of the eye is all in shadow because of the eyebrow. Okay, so just to put some scribble down. And then I use a t-shirt piece, wrap around my finger. And then I work on smoothing those out. Pressing, smoothing it in the direction of my line. So I purposely made my lines go in a rounded direction because since the eye is a ball. Okay, and then the last thing I want to do is put in my eyelashes. I'm going to use a very dull 6B pencil to put in my eyelashes to represent thicker lines. If I'm drawing a girl, then I'm going to draw my eyelashes flicking up and out. If I'm drawing a boy, I'm not going to draw them quite as thick, maybe draw them with my mechanical pencil. So I got these handouts, just some pictures we found online, to show you for girls how to make them flick, right, and going in curved, and then they're longer. Boys' eyelashes much shorter, and we don't want to draw them as thick, okay? So we're going to be using a reference to put in those eyelashes. So I'm going to draw the boy eyelashes. So I can see a few of the lines right next to the eye opening. We don't want to draw too many. With my bottom eyelashes, if I use my 6B pencil to draw them, I've got to be really careful because those eyelashes are really thin. I think I'm going to use my mechanical pencil and go back. And I don't want to be too thoughtful about it. I want to be very quick as I quickly put in those eyelashes all the way across. I don't know if you can see those or not, but we don't want to do too many. Okay, and that is how I draw an eye. And if I were to do the other eye, then I would take that shape, draw it here, leave it empty, and then draw another one so that I could have 3 eyes. Basically room for 3 eyes all the way across, but that is how you draw one eye. And really quickly, I'm just going to turn this into a female's eyes, just eyelashes, so you can see what that would look like. Okay, and now I've got it more feminine looking for a girl. I'm just kind of going back with my 6B and kind of coloring in a little bit in between to thicken those eyelashes up. And that is how I draw eyes.